In this video, I want to discuss subjective-objective relationships regarding truth, and regarding particularly what's realistic and psychologically true, and which can be accessed through our direct psychologizings of the world in relation to understanding our own subjective experiences that involve these first-hand and direct perceptual experiences of the world that involve our conscious awareness of the surroundings and various aspects and a thingness that surrounds us as individuals, but also these incorporeal and mental and psychological workings of the mind that are natural and have these syntheses to them that are direct to meaning and knowing, and particularly the self-knowing in relation to our existence that involves this connection between subjective experience and objectivity, particularly objective truth and naturalistic truths, what's true regarding the natural environments that surrounds us as individuals, and it's also local to our surrounding environments in which we psychologize, and that these relationships between our perception and our psychology in relation to the physical environment that forms these constituencies of perception, psychological processing, as well as physiological processing. So there's these constituencies of perception and psychophysiology that involve our various expressions and embodying of various uh, characteristics regarding the self, and expressions of the self expressions that involve perceptions, motivations, emotions, feelings, actions, behaviors, intents, meanings, purpose, as well as purposing and being resourceful and utilizing resources, and also um, cognizance of our strengths and being able to tap into our strengths, utilize them in various situations, um, to be able to adapt and to operate more effectively in the world in more of these optimizing courses of direction that involve these subjective objective relationships, but also when it comes to direct experience, these subjective object relations, and these subject object relations in which we operate dynamically within very much a psychological space, and this psychological dynamical and relational space in which we link together subject matter of experience with contents and physical components of the environment with a thingness and matteredness to the world, but also a deep sense of meaningfulness, and which imparts an innate sense of knowledge and knowing regarding matters of our direct existence, and which involve the nature of the mind and the existence of the mind as very much the centralizing aspect of self and a deep component of the self, but also ultimately the nature of the self and the nature of the ego and the necessities that we need to be able to sustain ourselves psychologically as individuals. That's direct to establishing these subjective objective truths and relationships regarding truths that characterize pretty much all of psychological existence and our direct nature of existence regarding various truths in psychology that involve things like effectiveness, efficacy, as well as utility and purpose and purposing, and the use value of various processes and ways of engaging with the environment meaningfully and through our interests and curiosities, as well as our strengths that allows us to explore the self and develop a greater masterfulness of self-knowledge and self-knowing that's illuminating and helps to enlighten us in these two very much simultaneous directions, one in which involves a greater sense of self-intelligence and regulation of the self through maturity as we come to understand these subjective objective relationships intrinsic to nature and synthetic processes, and learn about how psychology influences us as individuals and how that can ultimately improve who we are and how we express ourselves through our strengths, our also character, the character that you express, our ideal character, and moving towards more of an actualized character that isn't just part of the ideal, or that isn't going to produce ill well-being through this conflicting ideal and which is incongruent with our actual expression of character, but a character in which is realistic for us and which accords with our meaning and the values and our intents and purposes that are associated with what we perceive as virtuous and the virtues of self, but also our strengths and how we would like to be remembered or immortalized if we were to, say, become great in society or to do something of significance or worthwhileness. That has a meaningful process that's backed behind it, and which supports it and propels it, propulls it in a more meaningful course of direction that involves this also nature of self-directedness that directly involves the establishment of self-knowing through how we come to interact with our own existence through our very first steps and movements in the world. That's foundation to forming knowledge and knowledge regarding our own existence and self-knowing and how we can know anything. And so that's just a little bit on psychological truths, but in particularly the subjective, objective truths regarding relationships, and also a little bit of I've included a little bit of direct perceptual philosophy and epistemology regarding matters of knowing, self-knowing, and truth in here. So I hope you enjoy this, and I'll be posting more videos moving forward.